welcome back to my YouTube channel. I know it's been a while and I'm sorry, but I have been busy. I've been making rugs, doing conventions, traveling, being sick. But anyways, today I'm gonna show you how to make a rug like a pro. Two rug making YouTube videos so far, so make sure you go and check them out if you haven't already. Today's video is going to be a little bit different. I have learnt so much more about rug making over the past year or so, and my rugs have definitely leveled up in quality, and I'm really excited to show you all the things that I've learned. The rug I'm making today is actually very special. A while ago, I was live on TikTok making rugs when Tina came on and asked me if I could make a custom design rug with a lot of characters on it. I said, absolutely, I would love to. Been waiting for a rug like this to make. She then told me it would be a memorial piece for her son who sadly passed away. A few weeks later, I was at a convention called Supernova when Tina came to me in person to discuss the rug, which was so cool. It was absolutely lovely to meet her. Love you, Tina. She then gave me a list of characters and things that her son Damien loved. I then drew out all of the different characters and things that needed to be added to the rug. When it comes to designing a rug, I like to use Procreate to draw out characters, and then I like to piece together and finalize the design in Illustrator. And this is the final design. Tina told me it was really important to have 5 stars in there, have some nice purple colors, have his name, a B, add an XOX, like a kiss, hug, kiss, and also add in Bruno Mars somewhere. So I decided to mix those two pieces together. So you can see in the middle here, we've got a Bruno Mars cassette tape with the XOX spelt out with the cassette. I got this idea by rewatching the music video of Just the Way You Are, and in that music video it's made up of pictures pieced out from the cassette tape. So I thought I would mix in his favorite song with the XOX, and that way it would be Bruno Mars without adding his face to it somehow. But yeah, I thought that was pretty cool. Oh, and the bottom there's a DJ deck, and then all of his favorite characters and his favorite food, KFC. Anyway, I really like how this piece came together, and I was working closely with Tina with this process of making the rug. In getting the right design, I would never go forward with a rug unless she has completely approved it time and time again, so I made sure that she was definitely happy with how it looks. I think it's very important as an artist to have an open line of communication with your client, especially when it comes to custom pieces like this that mean a lot. You're making a rug for them and they are paying you for that, for your service. So make sure it's perfect before you get started, because some people have been burnt in the past before where they've had a confusion about the design, or they've made the wrong color choice or something like that. So just be absolutely sure before you start making the rug.
Sorry to interrupt, but I have some very important information to share with you. My rug making journey would not be possible without the support of All Things EFFY. All Things EFFY is a small business focusing on all the supplies you could ever need when it comes to rug tufting and even punch needling. It's a small business from New Zealand, and it's run by the absolute best person ever, Carolyn. Throughout the video, I'm going to mention all the tools and materials that I've used, like my tufting guns, my yarn, my shavers, and so much more. Let me be honest with you. The real reason why I love All Things EFFY is the customer service. Carolyn actually has a background in engineering, so when it comes to fixing your tools, you can bet you will get the best service help from All Things EFFY. They sell everything you could ever need when it comes to rug making at the best prices that will last you in the long run. If you see cheaper prices elsewhere, there is a reason. Now, if you ever want to get into making rugs, they actually sell a rug tufting starter kit with everything you could possibly need to make your first rug. How does it get better than that? Let me tell you. Now, if you use my code GORUGGIRLGO at checkout, you're gonna get 20% off. And if you use the code during sale time at All Things EFFY, you get an extra 5% off. It's just too good to be true, honestly. So if by the end of this video, tufting tickles your fancy, you know where to get started. Buying from All Things EFFY not only supports this amazing small business, but you'll also be supporting me when you use my code. So thank you, and thank you All Things EFFY. I'll see you guys later.
Anyway, this is the rug I'll be making today. Let's get started! I'm gonna stop doing that. I was about to start making the rug and doing stuff, but I forgot. I've moved into a different room now. I'm no longer in my roof or in my room making rugs. I actually have a whole ass garage. This is the entire room. Here it is. I'm so happy with it, guys. And my frame, when I show you what my frame does, you guys are gonna scream. It's so f***ing cool. Little tiny tool because it's a little bit messy. Here, red backing fabric because it's It's redbackrugs. Here's the table that I do all my shaving at, or like if I want to respond to emails or whatever. I've got my computer that plugs in. I got 4 monitors that all connect. It's just, I am spoiled. Here we've got all of my scissors and stuff and more stuff. I got a wall of guns. So many guns, can't have enough because they all break. Right now, this is my favorite gun I think I've ever gotten. It's from All Things Effy. My God, that is like my actual lifesaver. If you need a gun, go to All Things Effy and get the AK-1. It's so good. Here's my frame. I'll show you how that works in just a moment. There's redbackrugs. This is my projector. It's a new one. A mirror. And then we've got this. Oh my God, it's not even on. Boom, it's on. Redbackrugs. So in this room, I've rearranged it so many times. You know when you're like in your bedroom, you have to keep rearranging it to keep it fresh so that you don't like get bored? That's me in this room. I keep rearranging it. Oh, and of course, all of the wool. Here it all is. Lots and lots of wool, all different colors. These are like the neutral colors and not neutral. Like, what the fuck is that? This is also the first time I'll be making a rug in like actually 2 months. Prior to this, I had Oz Comic Con, and right after that, I had a collab with Assassin's Creed that I was making the biggest rug I've ever made in my entire existence. And then I went to Japan, and I've literally just gotten back, and it's time to make rugs. Well, I got back and I got very sick, and now I'm making a rug for the first time in 2 months. Anyways, so here we have all of the primary backing cloth, my trusty drill, some glue guns and hot glue, my little box full of tools and stuff you can see here. We've got twill tape over here and here. We've got tools, shavers, electric carving scissors. These are hand tufters. And then this guy. I hate it. I hate it. I hate it. And then here we have all of my stock and a random soccer ball up there. So this is all the rugs that I have ready made, ready for my next convention, or they are also available on my website. I love making rug key rings. They are so cute and so fun and so fresh. Look at this guy. Redbackrugs. That's the room tour, and now we're gonna start making the rug. And the first step is to bring my frame over here. Let me show you how I do that. So the frame is actually on wheels, and by wheels I mean one singular wheel at the bottom here. And bring it all the way over here. In the floor over here there's a hole, and then I just wiggle that around and then wiggle it into the hole. And then up here there's a hole in the roof, as you can see. So then I just grab this fella there. And now my frame is stable. So this frame that I've got here is 2 by 2. So 2 meters by 2 meters. It's huge. And I don't need all this space. The rug I'm making today is going to be 1.3 meters wide by about 70 tall, I think. Maybe a meter, I'm not too sure. Which means there's too much space. And I'm not going to go and put a whole ass fabric on the top there, and then I'll be tufting for about 3 weeks trying to fill up the whole thing. I don't like to waste any tufting fabric, like anything. If there is a tiny little hole, I'm gonna make a tiny little keyring or something. No waste. So using these 2 large screws, this large beam, I will now half my frame. Also this helps a lot. Now doing this alone is really hard. You're gonna see me struggle. So I'm just doing some calculations. I calculated if it's 1.3 meters across, it'll be about 85 tall. And with doing this, I can put one beam across here and then another beam across here and work in this middle space, which is much easier because I can just stand or sit. Otherwise, if I put it straight in the middle, I'll be working up high, which means I'll be working here for this part here, and then I'll need a stool, stand up, and do the higher bits. Lifting your hands above your head for a long period of time is not good. It hurts and you run out of breath real quick. So I'm either working high or I can also work low, which hurts my back. So I'm gonna put a beam across here, and then I will have this entire space to work with. So I can make little rugs at the bottom there. In this big rug here, happy days. Let's do that. Also gotta make sure that I'm putting these on the right way. Spiky things need to point down away from the center. So this is where I need to put it, up here. How the f am I gonna do this for myself? This is a little balancing act. So close, a little bit taller. Basically what I was trying to do is align this all the way across because I've got no one here to hold it for me while I'm going to be drilling into it. Sawdust in my eyeballs! And now we need to drill that side into there. I think I need to get rid of my creation now. Oh, it is holding. Ha ha ha. next step is finding the right size fabric that will fit on there. 2 meters by about 1.5 meters. When I do this process of putting the tufting cloth on the frame, I like to use these gloves. They've got like a rubbery texture on them here. I'm pretty sure they're for glass work, but they get rid of that stabbing feeling of these nails. I mean, if I stab hard enough, it's still gonna go through, but it's like when you touch these with your bare skin, you're gonna get a little bit of a slice and maybe go through to your bone. Happen a few times. I recommend getting, I think these are like glass cutting gloves or anything that'll just stop that pain. Do it. Protect your hands. Before you actually start putting it on, just lightly place it on top of the nails. Just so it holds to measure. Oh my god, this might be perfect, mate. No, it's not. It doesn't reach across. That's stupid. This looks promising. Yes. I'll show you how much is left on the bottom, which is a bit unfortunate. This piece would fit the entire frame. You can see where it ends there. So all of that will be cut off. Now when it comes to putting your primary tufting cloth on, I need you to listen to me. Do not use anything other than primary tufting cloth. Seriously, it is not worth the stress, not worth the hassle. Do not get burlap, do not get Muntz cloth, do not get any of that. Anything that doesn't look like this, I'm pretty sure there's a grey version of it, but anything that doesn't look like this is not worth your time. It's gonna rip, it's gonna pull apart, it's gonna stretch. You're gonna get so frustrated, you wanna quit, you wanna throw everything in the bin, you wanna like punch yourself in the face. Don't bother. It all starts with this, and then all the other problems can be fixed, but this cannot. Use this stuff, primary tufting cloth.
Just chiming on in here to let you know that All Things Effy sells the highest quality primary tufting cloth on the market. As you can see from the video, I'm using this white one, and I've only ever used this one until quite recently. I started using the grey primary tufting cloth, and since using it, I've been a little bit confused as to why I haven't been using it the entire time. It's the best. You want your fabric to be tight and stay tight the entire time you're tufting, right? Am I a poet? With this stuff, it just does not budge at all. It will have the exact same tightness as when you first put it on your frame. In comparison, this holds very well, but over time, if you leave your rug up on your frame, it will slowly start to stretch and become a little bit more loose. This does not. You will also be less likely to make holes in your fabric if you're using this because it is so damn strong. So if you want to make the upgrade like I did, I highly recommend using the primary grey tufting cloth.
As you can see, the lines are going straight down. Do this. Either make them go straight down or straight across. I like to do them straight down. Makes the most sense, I think. Because when you tuft, you go up and down. You can go across, so that's why you can use them across. But you can see in here, the cross stitching of the fabric is like that. And so when your gun goes through, this is your gun, it's gonna jump between each thread. So if you're going diagonal, it's gonna get a little bit caught, and you'll see that sometimes it doesn't look like a very smooth edge. It's literally because the needle of the gun can't jump through equal threads as well as it can going up and down, because that's just the natural way that the fibers go. When you're putting your tufting cloth on, it needs to be as straight as possible, especially if you're making a rug that will have like a square border or a rectangle border, anything with straight lines. They will be warped if you don't tuft with this. Go with the threads. So that's why it's very important when you're putting your tufting cloth on. It's not just a 5-minute thing. It's gonna be like we're making it perfect, precise, amazing. The best and the easiest way to put your tufting fabric on is to start with the corners. Pull them as tightly as you can to each other. So I like to start with probably a bottom to top, so I might start with this corner. Hold this corner and put it nicely as tight as I can on this corner here. And then I'm gonna pull it hard as I genuinely can to the bottom. I'm gonna put all my strength to make sure it's as tight as it can and grip it at the bottom there in that corner. I'm gonna pull it as tight as I can down here. I'm gonna follow that, we're gonna hold it there, and then I'll pull it and grip it. Pull it. So now that is as tight as I possibly can do it right now. So I'm gonna do the other side now. Because I've done a bottom and top corner here, I need to do this corner to that corner as tight as possible. So we've tightened this line, and now we're tightening that line. So I'm pulling across as tight as I can. That's as tight as I can do it for now. And now I'm gonna do the bottom one exactly how I did that bottom one there. But as I'm doing this one at the bottom here, I'm also pulling it across as much as I can. So we're getting the tightness from the top, tightness from the bottom. We're pulling, we're pulling, we're pulling, and we've gripped it. We did it. The best thing to do after this step is to just loosely place all of the hooks onto the fabric, just loosely, and make sure they're all in line with one of the threads. The edge of the wood is literally along this orange line here. So I'm gonna just lightly place them so that they've definitely gripped onto the nails. And see, I've just stabbed myself and I'm definitely bleeding. I'm And now I'm gonna do the other side. Pull it as tight as I possibly can. And by doing this, it's gonna pull that side even tighter too. It's essentially gonna make the fabric stretch and be as tight as possible. All right, now we're gonna do the top. So we're just gonna put the top of the fabric in line with the top of the wood here. Just gently place it because we're gonna have an easier time pulling the fabric at the bottom because there's so much of it to pull. Now we're gonna pull the bottom. With my left hand, I'm grabbing the fabric, pulling it out and pressing it down with my right hand. So you can see now, it's pretty bouncy, but it's still got a little bit too much of that push. I need it to literally be like an elastic band, like when you press it, it's gonna bounce you off. So after you've accomplished just placing everything nice and pulling one side really tight, I now recommend only pulling two sides. Already it's getting so much tighter. See how there's such little like bounce back now? I'm gonna tighten this bottom row just one more time and then we'll be done. Because feel it. It's really great. I'm out of breath. See that? That's how tight you want to get it. Like a drum. Brilliant. Now after you finish that step, give yourself a real good round of applause, a pat on the back, because that's way harder than people make it out to be. It is a very tiring effort to complete that, so well done. I'm proud of you. Now the next step is one of my favorites. It's also very time consuming, but it's less work for your body, thank God. And that is tracing your design on the fabric. It's nice, it's like therapeutic almost, and I like to do it at nighttime. Since my studio is sort of like facing the sun at the moment, I won't get a nice crisp image on my projector, even though my projector is pretty powerful. So I like to wait until nighttime, and the sun actually sets at like 8 p.m. these days, and it is currently 2:32 p.m. But obviously this isn't the case for everyone. All you need to do is close your blinds, shut your windows, and then do the next step, and I'll explain that now. I'm back. It is nighttime and we're about to trace, and I'm very excited to do it. Let's do it. Let's talk projectors really quick. This is an LG projector, tiny, has amazing clear quality, very expensive. This is a bank, have no idea about its specs. It's really good, that's it. Just kidding. I've come into a lot of problems with projectors. This one is really, really good, but you need to go really far back in order for it to fill up my entire frame. When I first started, this was perfect. It got me going. As I made larger rugs, I needed it to cover a larger area, but I just never have enough room. And even in here, I still don't have enough room. No matter how far back I go, it still just doesn't project the entire image. So that's when I got this one. And I have to put it basically outside of the door of my studio, and it projects the entire back wall, which is where I'm gonna be putting my frame now. I like this one. Just depends on the size of your space and depends on how big you wanna make your rugs. If you wanna make a big rug, you're gonna need a projector that has a long throw, I believe, and this is a short throw, long throw, short throw. But yeah, I tinker between each. If I'm gonna make a big rug, which is what I'm gonna do now, I have to move my frame off its hinges and put it on the back wall. It's gonna be very complicated. I might need my mum to come and help me do that. But if I'm just gonna make like a few smaller rugs, I can just move this projector around to project the image of whatever size I need it. Here we go. So I need to unhinge it right there, which I just did and almost killed myself, and now I have to roll it to the back wall. Okay. Oh no! No. Roll. Oh, this thing is heavy. Okay, that table needs to move. Oh god, in there please. Stay. It's now stable and sturdy and ready to trace. It's really a lot more complicated than it should be, but that's just my instance because I don't have long enough room, I guess. But anyway, so I might have to open this door and actually put it outside in order for it to reach the whole thing. The lights are going to be turned off. Who do you want? I'm going to try and show you the simplest way of how I go about tracing things. Sorry about any background noises, just ignore. So you can see behind me, which is also in front of me, I get out Illustrator, and this is the dimensions of my frame at the moment, this outline here. And I've tried to put as many of the designs that I need to make in that box to see if I can actually fit them all in there with their exact sizes too. Tina's rug is here in the middle, and I've got all these other commissions that I do need to make. But something very important, you must always remember to flip your image. Flip it. You have to flip it. You have to flip it. Otherwise, you will cry a lot. The way I like to flip my image is I'll just in preview. So I've just double click the image that's on my screensaver, and then I'll go up here to tools, and then I will flip horizontal. Boom. That's literally all you have to do. All your worries will fly away. So right there is the image, but it's obviously covering the entire frame, and that's not how big we're gonna do it. We're actually gonna do it about, I think it's about this big. I gotta go over there and measure it now. I'm gonna get out my trusty Sharpie, trusty tape measure, and we're gonna just measure out exactly how big it needs to be. So it needs to be 1.3 meters. So that is currently 1.5. Now, as you can see, some of the details are gonna be really small on the rug, which will become a problem to me later. So I might have to make it just slightly bigger, which is fine. Tina wanted it as big as possible. Obviously bigger means more expensive, so we landed on this. The eye details will be tiny, these dots will be tiny. Really important that when you're tracing your rug up, do not go too close to the wooden part here, because if you do, your rug will actually get caught and start stabbing the wood, no matter how close you are. I recommend this distance, maybe even more. I'm probably gonna bring it down another inch or so for it to go to about here. So leave yourself 5 centimeters, about 3 inches off the top of your frame, and same with the side here as well. A way that I like to make sure that my image isn't warped from the projector is I like to, if I've got a border or something that I can measure, I will start here and see. So that's about 3 centimeters wide is the border there. So let's see what it is down here. Yep, the same, yup. Alright, it's perfect. It's not warped and we are good to trace. Let's do it. Listen to me, it doesn't take a genius to trace. Just grab your Sharpie or any type of permanent marker that you've got and just start. Trace every single line that you have in your design and you'll be fine. I am a poet. Ladies and gentlemen and everyone in between, I'm done. That took so long. Why did that take so long? I know why it took so long. There's lots of detail in it already. Ready. Ta-da! Lovely, absolutely lovely. And as you can see on the sides here, and at the bottom, I've got so much extra space, so I'm gonna trace in some other orders that I have. Hey guys, okay, so it's the next day. I'm going to Spotlight today so I can go buy some wool, but before I do that, I need to know what colors I actually need to buy and what I already have. So this is how I do that. So I've got my design here in Illustrator, and what I'll do is I'll create some squares. They'll start off as, let's say, just yellow, and then I will go through, I'll use the eyedropper tool, and I'll go, okay, Mario's hat is red, so let's go and put it right here, red. And I literally do that for every color, but obviously since this one is like full of all these different characters, what I did to make my life easier is I created 2 sheets with every single character on it, and I've color matched every single character's colors. So this is all the different things, all the colors that they will need, and I like to leave a little bit of space here so that when I cut out the wool, I can sticky tape it right next to each color, so I know exactly what color wool that I'm using while I'm going. And these sheets I'm gonna hang up on my frame so I can keep referencing as I'm making the rug. Completely forgot to vlog this part, but I've just sorted through a lot of wool and have color coded everything. So I've printed out my sheet with all my color coding on it, and I've gone through and sticky taped all the different wool colors that I have, and I've outlined black. You can see there the ones that I need to go and buy a little bit more of. Some don't actually have any writing on it or anything like that, and that's because I'm not sure what it is, because I like to code it. If it's like that Marvel brand, then I'll write Marvel on the top, then I'll write the number of its barcode as well, just to keep it nice and organized. But yeah, that's my process of how I do that. Can't wait to turn that into that. I went to Spotlight yesterday with my little sheet full of all the wool that I need to buy, and I went through all of my wool, and it turns out I basically had everything except for these 2 bags full of wool that I will now be using for the rug. I'm so excited. They're really pretty colors, and Spotlight had a sale, which is really great. I also went and watched Wicked last night, and I haven't stopped singing it all day today, so my throat hurts. I'm gonna shut up now. Why did I do that? Great. So if you guys remember from my previous video where I show you how to turn a roll of yarn into a cake of yarn, I use one of these hand winders, or this is an electric winder. Quickly show you how to hook it up, but you might not have to even acknowledge this step, so just bear with me. First step of what I like to do, obviously take off that, find the end of it. You can find this end, which is just the end that it's been wound into, or here's a hat that will help you later. Try and find the other side, which is often tucked away in the center. Pull it out, try not to pull it into a knot, slowly pull it out, and then you might get this mess here. Do this, And there's the other side right there. So now I've got the middle of it, which will help this whole process go a lot smoother. So I've got the middle here, the middle pulls out, and that's the actual center. So this is how you thread it through the hole here, underneath the bar, through there, underneath the bar, around, through here. If you get an electric yarn winder, it'll give you a tutorial of how to do it. And anyway, through there, through the slot, and turn it on. Don't get bashed by it though. And then you start winding, and we'll just wait here like this. And there you have a cake. So you can completely avoid this entire step. Don't even bother doing it. All you need to do, like completely, don't even need to spend your money on this. I think this was like $700. Don't bother. Listen to me when I tell you this. This is like a complete hack. All you have to do, whether you've got a big one or a small one, all you have to do is find the middle, how I showed you before. Pull from the center until you get that. Detangle the mess that comes inside of it until you find the end, and literally just put that straight into your gun. That's it. You don't need a winder. You actually do not need to do it. If your supplier of whoever makes these is nice and considerate to you, it'll 9 times out of 10 be very simple and an easy way to pull out. Sometimes it's not easy to pull out or stuck in there, or you'll get some knots. That's when I would go, fuck it, I'd snip it and then just wind it either on my hand winder or that electric winder. Same with this. These ones actually are so much better. When you get a big one, I reckon like about half the time they're already sticking out for you, and all you have to do is just pull that and then start tufting. It might feel a little bit tight and your yarn might get yanked out of your gun, but all you need to do is just start pulling it out a little bit until it becomes less tense on the inside, and then it'll start coming out freely. That's a whole step you can completely disregard, and it's a time saver because winding yarn would often take me a whole day to do. I would sit there tracing for half the day and winding for half the day, and then I'd be able to start my rug, but I don't need to do that anymore, so don't bother.
Hey, me again. Now, in saying all that about the yarn and wool winders, All Things Effy has the lot. Now, I know it sounds like I'm extremely against winding the yarn, but I do end up winding it a lot just to keep things tidy. Now, there's the electric yarn winder and also the hand yarn winder. Both of them work wonders, and I do recommend getting at least one of them when you first start out, just so you can understand the way that yarn works. Now, let's talk a little bit about yarn. All Things Effy sells 3 different types of yarn. Now, we've got the cotton blend, which is super thick, super soft, and you only ever need to use 1 strand in your tufting gun. We've also got Effy's New Zealand rug wool, which is specifically made to be used for rugs, meaning it's extremely sturdy and holds its shape super well, and it's also natural. And recently, Effy has just released their own acrylic rug yarn, which has the exact same properties as the rug wool, meaning it's sturdy and keeps its shape, and it's specifically made for rugs, meaning it's gonna last forever. This is in comparison to crafters wool and yarn that you would buy from like Spotlight or your craft shop. This stuff is mainly made for like crocheting and things that are supposed to be soft and not really stepped on. This stuff is amazing quality, and I will be using it a lot more in my rugs. I think you should too. You know where to go.
Alright, who's ready to witness me on Struggle Street? Because I hate asking for help. Oh, I'm scared. I need to get this over there. No. Ah, my foot! My foot! Oh my god, I'm out of breath. I need to go toilet. I need a second. Never back down, never what? Oh my god. Move! It's in 1 hinge, but it needs to be in 2. Oh no! Oh no! Oh no! Oh no! Oh my! Oh. I think I'm gonna pass out. Are you actually completely serious right now? Oh, my fingers. What the Oh, you. I'm gonna sweat, guys. I'm breaking with sweat. Oh my god, I can't hold it. I can't hold it. My heart rate is 147 right now. No! Huh. Yeah, whatever. My heart rate's up to 162. Just ask for help, you stupid girl. That'll just have to do. I've recruited my mum now, mum wave. It's gonna be so easy right now. Ready? Go. Oh no. Push it straight. No. No shit.
On my back. What am I supposed to do?
Push it forward. My finger. Splinter. It's on my foot again.
I don't know what I'm supposed to be doing.
Oh, we got it. Almost. Okay.
way you can start tufting now.
Yeah, no, I think I might give it a miss. I have no strength tonight. So it's another day in the redbackrugs studio, and today is the day that I'm going to start tufting this thing. Now, I'm not sure why I decided that I was going to do a rug making tutorial on probably one of the hardest rugs I've ever had to make. But hey, you're going to see me struggle quite a bit, and that is entertaining. So as you know, I went through and did this. I also decided that I was going to print off every single character and do the exact same because I was starting to get extremely overwhelmed. And then I got even more overwhelmed when I had all of my wool in one pile. I need things to be in an orderly fashion, especially if it's as chaotic as what this looks like. So what I did over on this table, you can see here I have organized all of the wool in order of this. So like white is over there and it goes to gray, and then the reds and the yellows and the whatever to the blue. So I know exactly what color I need. I will go and grab it and use it. I think that might only make sense to my brain, but hopefully you get it. Obviously, all of this is completely unnecessary, but it just helps my brain comprehend what's going on, because if I know that there's a lot to do, I need to be able to visualize what I actually have to do. And so this way I can do it like character by character or color by color. Another fun and a little bit unnecessary thing that I like to do is I like to mark out exactly what color I'm going to, did you see that? I'm going to mark out exactly what color I want to be tufting. So I think I'm going to start with black because there's actually not that much black in the image. It's like just mainly the eyes. So I'm going to color in with this fluorescent Sharpie, and then I'll get started tufting. I got these little like clip things from IKEA. They're supposed to go on the pegboards, but I like to put them in my frame so I can see what I'm making. I just have to press out the back bit a little bit, and then I'm just gonna stick it in just like that. Just printed off a really large version. So I'm gonna keep right there in my line of sight. Cool, I'm good to go now. So this is where I put my yarn. It's basically just two old bowls nailed into this piece of wood that swings on my frame. And also up here there are some eyelets. So I'm going to find the center. I'm going to place it just like that. Thread it through the eyelet, through to the side where the frame is. Pull it, pull it, pull it until you don't have that tension. See how it's lifting a bit? Keep pulling it until it stops lifting. I'm just letting it sit on the floor in a pile. Alright, that's about good. That way it won't get stuck in your gun and pull out of your gun and then you'll want to cry. The yarn that I'm currently using, this is actually 10 ply compared to stock standard, which is 8 ply. It'll tell you on here. So that's 8 ply compared to, this is the same brand of that black one, it's 10 ply. So you can use 10 ply and 12 ply. It just means that your rug is going to be thicker, which honestly makes it way more high quality. If I could, I would always use 10 ply. That stuff is expensive. It doesn't come in every color. Sometimes it doesn't work with the gun very well. It just depends. Sometimes it's a little bit too thick. It just depends on the way it's made. And sometimes it depends on the actual lot of yarn that was made. So for example, if I bought this one yesterday and then I have the exact same one that I bought a couple months ago, that means they would have been made in different lots, and every lot changes. It'll even say here, this was made in lot 3. And so if I'm gonna go get another piece of yellow, I'll make sure that it is in lot 3 as well. Otherwise the color shifts very slightly, but it does. You can tell on rugs. So that's one thing that you should look out for. And I always use 2 strands of yarn, no matter what. I don't care how thick it is, I'm always going to use 2 strands. Again, it just comes down to the quality. If you want your rug to be a little bit shaggy looking, and I go over this in my shaving video, but if you want your rug to be a little bit shaggy looking, you're going to use a little bit less yarn and you'll tuft your lines really far apart. If you want your rug to be hella thick, hella high quality, like will last you forever, can be stepped on and not go flat, you're going to use thicker yarn and you're going to tuft closer together, and always use 2. Okay guys, this is my gun. I love it so much. It has created so many rugs with me and I find it wonderful. So if you want a gun, I highly recommend this one.
Let's talk guns. To get started, I need to explain the 2 versions of guns that you can get. There's cut pile and then there's loop pile. A loop pile gun will thread the yarn through the fabric and bring it back through without cutting it, making continuous loops all the way through your rug. And then once you're ready, you pull the gun out and you snip the remaining yarn. In comparison to a cut pile gun that snips every single piece of yarn that is threaded through the fabric. This right here is the AK1. You can't go wrong with this gun. It is the ultimate standard and it's what you should be starting with. I've been using this gun for years now and I love it as it's got this protective casing, so you'll never have have your yarn get stuck inside of all the horrible gears that are in there. It maneuvers really well, and it's a cut pile gun. Majority of times you can get guns that have both the cut pile and loop pile abilities. All you have to do is change some of the gear on the inside here, and there's plenty of tutorials on the All Things Effy YouTube page on how to do that. Now this big fella here is the extra long pile tufting gun with both cut and loop pile abilities. I have used it with the cut pile abilities to make some amazing rugs, and I am obsessed with how this comes out. This gun cuts the threads at about 2 to 3 centimeters in comparison to this, which does double. Now, if you want to get super crazy, you can use the extra long pile, the original cut pile, and also a loop pile gun to get 3 different types of textures in your rugs. This gun right here has stolen my heart. It is brand new. This is the AKV tufting gun. This gun has become my go-to. I would rather use this over any of the other guns. It is the upgraded version of the original. So as you can see, it's a lot more streamlined. It's actually a lot lighter. It has a light on the front, and it's a lot quieter with less vibration. It also has a more comfortable grip here, and when it comes to the speed settings, you can see on the back here the exact number. Amazing. You already know what I'm going to say. All Things Effy sells all of these guns. Would you believe me if I told you I have 11 tufting guns? Well, I do, and only 3 of them work. The 3 that I got from All Things Effy. All the other guns that I've purchased at cheaper prices have all failed me, unfortunately. One even exploded on me. Now, the thing about tufting supplies is if you want them cheap, they're not gonna last you, and they're gonna make you wanna quit tufting, let me tell you that. I was at a point in my rug making career where I was so ready to quit, and that was because my tools were not working. So that's when I actually reached out to Carolyn from All Things Effy to ask, what is the best gun that you have on the market? I don't care how much it is, I need it. To give you a little backstory, it was like 3 a.m. I was working extremely hard to get over 100 rugs done for my next convention, and my gun just broke. And all my backup ones had broken too. So I was absolutely desperate. And that's when I messaged Carolyn from All Things Effy, who helped me immediately. And it ended up being this gun right here at the time. And this literally never failed me. It has made well over 200 rugs, and it's still working good as new till this day. Now, if there was any time that I have had problems with the guns, because they are extremely fiddly, one wrong move, one little bolt that's too loose, you drop it on the floor, that kind of thing, all the measurements do sometimes get out of whack. I was lucky enough to jump on a FaceTime call with Carolyn, who then guided me on how to fix the gun. That's what I mean when it comes to the customer service. Carolyn is always there ready to help you with any problem that you have. So if you want a good tufting gun, you have to get it from All Things Effy. They're reliable, they come with warranty, they're the best in the market, and you're guaranteed some customer service if you need it. Genuinely, thank you All Things Effy for saving my tufting career.
Anyways, what we're doing now is threading the gun with the yarn. This is a needle threader, and what we're gonna do with this is we're gonna grab both ends of our yarn. We've got the yarn, we've got the gun, we've got the needle threader. Grab your needle threader, put it through the eye of the needle, just there, and then you put it through this hole here, just like that. Leave it hanging there for a second. It's a bit hard while I'm holding the gun. Normally I do this while it's resting on my lap. Grab your 2 strands of yarn, chuck them through, pull them just a little bit, and then all you need to do is pull this. And it's gonna pull it through the eyelet, through the eye of the needle, and there you have it. You have threaded your gun, but you're still not ready to tuft. But Chrystal, why not ready to tuft? Let me tell you, each time before you use your gun, you must clean it and oil it. To start to notice after using your gun for a while that it'll fill up with a bit of fluff. All you need to do is just sort of brush them out, just as much as you can. Get in all the nitty gritties if you must. Twist your gears like that. Clean, clean, clean. And if you find that there's some gunk that you just can't get out and you can't reach, I have a fix for you. Pressurized air. Mate, this shit is amazing. I got this from Kmart and it was $6. It's basically just air in a can but pressurized, so it spits out like. So what I do is I'll put it inside of this turbine, inside of here, anywhere that I can see gunk or buildup of fluff that I can't reach. Now after you've cleaned it, as I mentioned before, you need to oil it. This stuff right here is the best I've ever used. I used to use baritone oil, which is for my brass instrument. It's all the oil that I had. That's when I first started. Very incorrect, don't use that. And then I used to use sewing machine oil, also very incorrect, don't use that. I now use this. I believe I got it on Amazon. I'll put a link in my bio so you can get it, but it's the 3-in-1. So this stuff lubricates, penetrates rust, and cleans, so it's really good. And I've not had a problem with it so far. My gun has not rusted whatsoever. All my other guns, on the other hand, have. So it's because I'm using baritone oil and sewing machine oil. And all you're going to do is oil these 4 bars. You can see them. 1, 2, 3, 4. So put a little bit of a droplet here, little droplet here, little droplet here, little droplet here. And because I actually haven't used my gun in 2 months, I'm gonna oil the other side because it needs it. You don't always have to do this, but if your gun needs it, do it. Forgot to mention, do all this while your gun is off, and honestly, unplug it as well. I personally haven't done that because I'm stupid, but anyway, no one's been hurt so far. Now I'm gonna turn it on. To get it all lubricated, I just let it run for a little bit, which is wasting a little bit of my yarn, but whatever. Now the oil has done its thing, I'm ready to start tufting. Also, hack, if you didn't know, all your guns come with this little random hook thing. If they don't check all the parts that come with your gun, like the scissors and stuff, it'll be in there. All you have to do is unscrew that and then place it on. And if you just lift it up a little bit, use like a pair of scissors, lift it up a little bit, and then you can just rest it on your fabric. Only do this if you have primary tufting cloth, though. I can't imagine what it would do with your burlap and all that shit. So I used to never do it because I thought, what the hell, it's gonna rip it. It doesn't. And if you're worried about these holes, all you need to do is this, and it's back to normal. Hanging it up there helps when you need to thread it really quickly. Also, if you just need to take a little break. All right, let's start tufting. This is really random, but if I'm tufting for hours and hours on end, which is what I'm about to do now, I like to wear weightlifting gloves. Really random. They're nothing special, just literally weightlifting gloves. And I wear them on both hands, don't ask questions. I also wear them while I'm shaving, so they've got lots of like bits in them. Let's go. The tufting starts now. So I got a bit excited. Don't do what I just did. But anyway, it's always good to start with your outline. Start with a line across here, follow it up, line here, just like this. If you make a mistake, not the end of the world, pull it out. These little dangly bits that are coming out, pull them out. If they aren't letting you pull them out easy, leave them in there and snip them off with scissors. So when it comes to tufting, like I said before, if you want a shaggy rug, you're gonna do your lines a little bit separate, more like this one. If you want it to be a nice thick rug, you're gonna do them closer together and you're gonna take it slow. So you're either going to go very slow with your gun, like this. So it took me a while to go up, which makes the threads even closer together in each thread of fabric. Otherwise, you turn your gun up the speed a little bit. See how fast that's going compared to this? You turn up the speed. You'll thread the yarn in each fabric thread a little bit tighter, like this. I'm gonna take a photo of this so you can see what I'm talking about. I'll put it on the screen. But basically, this side is going to have a more shaggy feel. It will have spaces in it. It won't look as full. It'll still look good, but it won't look as full. Compared to this side, will look hella full. It'll feel full. I would also recommend tufting within the line that you've actually traced, not all the way on top of the line. I would tuft just inside because fabric expands. So if you were to tuft directly on the line, it'll actually make that entire section way bigger than the rest. See how I'm tapping on and off the trigger just then? And it's going... That is because I get more control by doing that rather than going in just a straight line. I promise you, as a beginner, if I knew that, my rugs would have been so much better, but instead they look like this. But yeah, be trigger happy. Once you get more confident, you can keep your finger on the trigger. I find that being trigger happy is definitely the easiest way to go around in a circle. When it comes to doing really thin lettering like this, it's always going to be a challenge. Like when I was tracing this up, I was like, ooh, but I'm going to do it. So what I would recommend is always doing what's going to be the thinnest first and then going in between. It's going to be a lot of that fast triggering. I think I can get away with doing it single line because it's going to be in that black 10 ply, and because that stuff is really thick anyway, I'm going to go over it, and if I think it's not thick enough, I'm going to go over it again. This is fucking difficult. I think once all the other stuff goes in there, a light grey will go in between and then it'll sort it out. Let's have a look at what it looks like on the other side though. Like nothing!
Oh my!
I've completed the black and now I'm on to the white. I decided I'm gonna go in order of what my colors are on here. Well, I actually didn't do that, so I did black. I'm gonna go in order from now on. This is what the current state is. The other side looks like a mess. Anyway, I'll reveal the white in 3, 2, 1. Ka-chow. Sorry, I'm eating a chocolate. That's horrible to listen to. Anyway, little white bits. I'm gonna call it a quits today. I think I've been tufting for a couple hours. Literally took me 2 hours to do 2 colors. This is gonna take me a really long time, and that's fine. It'll pay off in the end. I'm so excited to see the end product. And this is what it looks like on this side so far. Like nothing. Hey, KFC. Whoa, KFC looks. Now, why does it look like that? KEC. A little bit of manipulation. Well, anyway, that's it for now. Alright, so when it comes to the absolute bare basics of tufting, all you want to do is go up and down or right to left. Keep it at that. When you have to go around in a circle or fill in tiny little areas, that's when it gets a little bit complicated, but it's also not an issue. I'm going to do this medium grey colour that I've got now. I'm going to be filling in the parts that I've marked here in fluoro yellow. So when it starts with any shape that you have, listen to me, any shape that you have, always outline it first, and then you begin filling in up and down and left to right. For example, I'm going to follow around in this shape and then I'll fill in the inside. So now that's all outlined. All I have to do now is fill it in. When it comes to figuring out how exactly far apart you want your lines to be, it just depends, again, on the look that you want. Me personally, I try to keep them as close as I can together, maybe like 1 millimeter or 2 millimeters apart, but it also depends on the speed that your gun is going, how many threads it gets through in the fabric. To give you a proper explanation of that, I'm gonna zoom in here and show you. On your gun at the bottom where the handle is, right here is your speed. You can turn it all the way down, which will make it slow. Or again, you can turn it all the way up, which I highly recommend against. Terrifying. So maybe keep it in the middle section. It also depends if you're going to be doing sort of intricate designs, like when I did this circle, I would have gone a little bit slower than usual. If I have to go at a curve, I would go slower than usual, and also being very trigger happy. You can see here that these threads are quite tight. I'll show you how tight I can actually get them. So you can see the difference between these. If you tuft a bit looser like this, which means you're going at a little bit of a slower pace and moving your gun up a little bit faster, I would recommend tufting your lines extremely close together, even closer than these two are together. If you tuft tight lines like this, which means you're going up with the gun at a slower speed and tufting with the gun at a faster speed, you can afford having your lines not be so close together. Now I'll go about here. You're starting and stopping your line where your outline was. That way you don't have any random gaps in the rug. Now it's all full. This right here feels very nice and tight. I like when it feels tight, which means on the other side of the rug it's going to be very thick. Another thing you need to consider when it comes to how close together your lines need to be, I've come into a lot of trouble when I'm using the 10-ply wool and tufting very close together. Turns out that there is only a certain amount of threads in your fabric, and if you put too much wool in them, they're either going to stretch too much or eventually rip. I've made an entire rug but packed so much wool into it that it warped the entire thing and I could punch my whole fist through it. So try to avoid that. You can suss out when the fabric has a little bit too much tension and is going to rip, so just be wary of that. This wool that I've used here for the grey is actually 10-ply, so I can afford having a few gaps in there because I know on the other side it's already going to be very full. The threads will be very close together and it'll feel very full. I'm going to tuft a little patch test here for you guys to see the differences between your spacing in line. If it was to be extremely tight, and now further apart. I don't really recommend ever doing it that far apart, but just so you guys can get the idea. Now I'll show you the other side. So you can kind of already see the difference here. You can see how tightly together these are. This is so nice and dense. Like, finger is not going through it whatsoever. This one is super fluffy. And you'll see that most tufters tuft like this because it uses less wool and it takes less time. But I feel like this is a lot more quality feeling. Anyway, my finger goes all the way through it. And if you split the wool threads apart, you can see the fabric underneath. If someone ever folds your rug in half, they'll see the fabric through it. But when they fold this in half, they'll never see the bottom. You can never see it. So yeah, that's the difference. This takes less time, less wool. This takes more time, more wool, but better quality. But it also depends. If you want your rug to be a little bit shaggy looking and funky looking, go for that. It's just up to your preference. I'm going to show you how to go around in a circle. So you're going to turn your gun dial down as much as you can. You also don't have to do it all the way on a nice slow setting. Start wherever's comfortable with holding your gun. I would say start at the bottom, press it through, and then turn it. So we're going to tuft sideways for a little bit. Bare basics of tufting. Make sure you have a good amount of pressure and a solid stance that you do have control of the gun. I would turn my entire body like this, and then we're going to just be really trigger happy. So we're going to press it once, and as you press it, you're going to turn your gun ever so slightly. And then once you get to that point, you don't want to be going completely upside down, so just press it in on the other side. And follow it up. And there you have it. If you're not happy with how it looks, just pull it out and go over it again. If the threads of your backing fabric is a little bit warped, you can just press them back in and then go over the spot that you think wasn't perfect enough. There we go. That is not a bad circle if I do say so myself. Now when it comes to the amount of pressure that you need to press against your fabric, it's not a lot, but it's also not too little. If your gun is slightly out or if it's at an angle like this fabric will rip. You need to be exactly parallel. If you're slightly like this, slightly like that, that's when you're gonna get rips. So make sure you're exactly parallel, distribute an even amount of weight. So obviously the fabric's gonna push back at you because it's bouncy. So just feel it, make sure you're not pressing too far in because then the scissors will just go and slice it all up, just so that these parts of your gun are sitting very nicely and evenly against the fabric. This is no pressure, this is too much pressure, this is the perfect amount of pressure. If you're having trouble with ripping your fabric, the first thing I want you to look at is how hard you're pressing against it. Keep that in mind. So again, when it comes to doing your colors and your outlines, always outline the exact shape and around a shape that is within where you are going to be filling it. Something to also remember when you're tufting, do not pull the gun out if your finger is still on the trigger. I know it's a very obvious thing. I used to do it and then wonder why there was rips in my fabric. And it's because when you're pulling it out, the scissors are still out and the last thing that they're gonna cut is not the wool, but the fabric. So make sure before you ever pull it out, take your finger off the trigger and maybe even turn the gun off because it's always a safety thing too. So finger is off the trigger and I'm pulling it out. Before I pull out the gun, I always like to press my finger against the wool and against the gun there, so that when I pull it out, the yarn doesn't pull out of my gun, which sometimes happens. That's just a trick that I've learned that's now become a habit. The rug, but I'm getting a bit delusional and I tufted the wrong color in the wrong spot. An easy way to get all of that out very quickly is to take off your shaver head, literally one of these, and very carefully make sure it's not in the fabric, but just peel it off like this instead of having to peel every single one individually. You gotta be really careful though, because if you do get the back fabric, it will rip it. Slowly, it'll all come out. It'll look like this, but then you can just merge them all back together and tuft back over it. Guys, I have been at this for days, and all the colors are done. Thank God. All I need to do is the border in white, and then I'll be done. I'll be done, I tell you, I'll be done. Oh my God, it has been a little bit of a struggle, but it's like hella rewarding just looking at it. I'm like, damn, I did that. All right, well, let's do the border. I'm done. That took so long, but it's done. Doesn't it look cute? I'm so obsessed with the colors. I made some slight changes as I was going to the design. For example, there was a highlight in Luigi Amaro's eye with the white, and I was like, that's just actually not gonna happen. So I cut it. There was color around Bowser's eye, but I cut it. Sometimes you just have to make do. It still looks fine. Happy days, happy days. Guys, it took me, I think, over 2 weeks, but I finally finished the entire frame. And now I'm gonna show you how to glue it. Let's move this baddie into the corner. Look at that. I'm so proud of this frame. There it all is. Let's do it. Gluing the back of your rug is an extremely important step to do it correctly, because if you don't, those threads will come through and slowly your rug will fade into nothingness. And what is the point of going through all that if there is nothing left? What you're going to need is some latex glue. This is a brand that I have found works really well for me. It's Dunlop carpet and cork glue adhesive. Basically, you just need a latex based glue. The consistency of this is like a rubbery type paste. This is literally what they use to glue down carpet squares onto your floor. What this will do is when it dries rubbery. So that's the type of glue that you need. It needs to dry rubbery, not sticky, but rubbery. It can't dry hard like concrete. When I made my first ever rug, I used a paste and it dried like concrete. Not good. I've seen people using like PVA glue, like craft glue. Apparently it works. I'm too scared to try it because if it starts falling apart, I will just freak out. But yeah, I've been using this and it has worked amazing so far. I've used it from the beginning after that concrete incident. The downside of this stuff is it's very expensive. I think it was like $30 for 1 liter, and this will probably cover maybe half of that big rug, maybe the full thing. It gets expensive, and when you want to fill out a whole frame, you're gonna need about 3 or 4 of these, and so already the price is just jumping up higher and higher. But yeah, they used to sell it in like 3 or 4 liters, but they don't anymore. That's just me in Australia. I know that in America they have like massive tubs of it. I'm not sure how much it is, and I can't remember what it's called, Robert's glue or something like that. But yeah, just make sure you get a latex base rubbery drying glue. Very important. I'm going to show you how I apply this now. And just know if it gets on your clothes, it's not coming off. So you can apply it to the frame in a couple ways. You can use little scrapers. This is like a construction scraper. My grandfather gave it to me because he's a builder. Or this is a cake spreader, cake maker spatula thing, and basically you just grab it on one, put it on there, and then wipe it all on there. But I don't like doing that anymore. Quite a bit of build-up. I used to use it all the time, but I just don't anymore. I'll show you what I do. I've learnt this from all my buddies over on Instagram. You learn a lot on the tufting Instagrams, guys. So I've got some latex gloves. So this is what it looks like. Literally, like, I'm not going anywhere. So what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna get a nice handful of it, and I'm gonna go slap it on the frame. I'm not gonna slap it. Got it in my hand, and I'm just gonna gently wipe it on there. A little bit of a circle motion. Just get it all up in that. And I like to really press hard on it to make sure it's gone into every single groove, because if you miss a spot, it honestly sucks later on. Try to get as close as you can to the edge. You can go onto the fabric here. That's totally fine. But the more you do it here, the harder it will be to cut, and then it sometimes goes through and it glues the threads down. But anyway, make sure it's over the edge, otherwise it will fray. So you do have to completely cover the edges. But yeah, just do this and you're good. Okay, I'm about to glue the whole thing now, so you're gonna watch that. Side note, it's always a bit hard to see if you've glued over any white yarn, so just make sure you go over it a few times. And you can obviously like put a whole bunch on there and just sort of like scrape it off, and then you've got a whole bunch left on your hand, because this shit is gold. Don't go wasting it. Empty. Gotta go get another one. Oh wait. Use the shit in the lid. Looks about right. Make sure it's a nice even layer as well, otherwise you'll have some bumps in the back of your fabric. Another thing about latex glue, some of them stink. This one's not too bad, but I know some people have had to, like, after they finished gluing their rugs, they've had to leave them outside to just get rid of the odor for a little bit. But yeah, this brand doesn't stink. Highly recommend that one. Anyways, I'm gonna let it dry. For the time that you need to let it dry, I would recommend overnight. Latex glue takes like heat to dry, so it says about 4 to 6 hours. Some say 6 to 12 hours. It just depends, but I would always recommend to leave it drying overnight. Otherwise, if you take it off while it's still a little bit tacky, the sides will curl in. So if you're ever having problems with your rugs curling, it's probably because you haven't left your glue dry long enough. If you want it to dry quicker, one time I had to glue and finish a rug all in one day. So I glued it and then I got a hairdryer and a heater and I just left it there blasting at it. Thank God nothing got set on fire. I was doing it in the roof of my house and dear God, it was probably the stupidest thing I've ever done, but it worked. So if you really are in a hurry, get a hairdryer or a heat gun or something. Maybe not a heat gun. It is textiles after all, it's fiber. Maybe ignore me, just let it dry overnight. Day has finally come where I can finally cut these rugs off the frame. Bringing it back. Gonna get myself a nice pair of scissors. Perhaps these ones, they're nice and sharp so I can just like stab through. Yes, so this has been drying for 2.5 days now. I checked on it yesterday, which was the day after that I glued it. Still a little bit tacky. I don't like taking it off when I can like visibly see that it is like a little bit shiny. It needs to look like matte, and that's what it looks like. You can also tell if you have mist spots, they'll be completely white and then the rest will be this like yellow tingy color. Let me show you up close. You can see how it's this off-white color compared to that. So like obviously if you've missed a spot, the white there will be brighter. It'll just be a brighter color, it won't have that yellow hue over it. Let's snip it off. Ta-da! Big ass rug. Or a dress. Okay, it's been a minute. I have not been working on this rug for a really long time. Christmas, New Year's, everything happened and I got a new camera. Look at it. It follows me. It's so cool. Anyways, we're gonna get started on shaving the rug, and this is probably one of the most important steps of rug making. Now, normally I'm shaving my rugs here. That's where I shave. I've put out 2 massive tables that I'm gonna be working on today. Here's the rug. So we are gonna roll it out and go. Oh, what the, and go. Oh, amazing. Look at that. It's freaking huge. Here we are. Now I've learned quite recently that you should always scrape your rug before you get started shaving, and doing this just gets rid of all of those really loose threads that are gonna piss you off later once you've shaved everything, carved everything, and then you vacuum it and then all of a sudden there's loose threads that are pulling through. So this would just sort of eliminate a lot more of that. That might still happen, but this gets rid of a lot of that. Scraping away. At all of that, and this is what we are left with. If anybody knows how to do felting, can you please tell me, because like I feel like I've got a lot of materials for it. Whee! This quite literally is just like a dog or pet fur scraper, so it's metal compared to the other one that I use while I'm shaving. It's plastic. This one is metal, so it kind of is a little bit more harsh, and I don't like to use this one when I'm shaving, only pre-shaving. Shaving is where rug making gets very scary, extremely terrifying. And that is mainly because of this thing. This is called the CPI flat shaver. Did you see that? That's a blade. Like, I am so terrified of losing any part of my body to that blade right there. So we keep it nice and flat and we don't even look at it, we pretend it's not there. Now this shaver right here is gonna give your rug that really professional look where it's extremely flat and even, and it keeps every thread the same height. On the other hand though, it's terrifying in the fact that if you up, a whole chunk of your rug will be eaten and there's not a lot to do after that. It has happened to me a couple times. It is very, very, very traumatic and very sad. It is somewhat fixable. Nothing's going to compare to the original state of your rug. So when you use this, be extremely careful. I didn't look into it much once I bought it. I just started using it and it ate a whole chunk of my rug, which sucked. And that was because I went way too close to the edge and the blade lifted and the back part dipped, and it actually just took a whole like chunk out there, completely bitten off. It's terrifying. I really hate this thing, but it's worth it. This shaver is extremely expensive. I bought it for 900 Australian dollars, so that was really, but I bought it like at the beginning of my rug making career as like an investment, and it really helped in increasing the quality of my rugs straight off the bat. If you don't use this, you just use the smaller shaver. It will obviously take more time because that shaver is like this big. You can only cover one like line at a time, but this thing gets it done a lot quicker. But it's a lot more anxiety inducing. I've made a whole video about how I shave my rugs and what to do and all the products that I used. You can go and watch that if you'd like. I will be explaining everything again in this video. If you want, that video is there already, and it's just specifically all about shaving and carving rugs. I'll link it here in one of those little card things. Anyway, I've been stalling because I'm really scared to do this, but I'm gonna do it, and I'm gonna do it now. Here's a close-up of the shaver. I'm really terrified having my hand under there, so I'm just gonna move that. Basically, you have to plug in your vacuum into this hole here. So as it's shaving, it will also be sucking up all the fibers, so there'll be no fibers in the air. If you do not attach your vacuum to that, the fibers will be coming straight up, out, and into your lungs. Don't be doing that. Make sure you turn your vacuum on, which I often always forget, because once you turn this thing on, it is loud as I'm gonna wear these loop earbuds. They are noise cancelling. So I'm gonna put these on, but I'm also going to be wearing headphones and listening to some music to calm me down as I do this, because it's very scary if I haven't mentioned that already maybe 4 or 5 times. I can't hear anything now. I've got this little attachment for my vacuum. I'm about to get started, and personally, I can't hear a damn thing. I'm also going to be listening to Fred again while I do this to pump me up, but also to make sure I get it done right. God, is this thing on? Oh my god, I'm so scared. Oh my god. Oh my god. You've got this. Let's go, pitter patter. Okay, we're gonna do it now. Vacuum is on. Music is on. My heart. I think I'm having a heart attack. I'm gonna wait until the beat drops. Great success. Oh my god. I did it. I'm gonna show you guys exactly how close I got to the edges with it completely unplugged and turned off and not even anywhere close to electricity. I'm just gonna show you like my hand movements. Okay, I started with going up and down. I feel like I have more control by holding onto here. Do not cover the vent. That would be a bad idea. You can also hold it here and have 2 hands, one here, one here. So I just go up and down. Just like that. I put a little tiny bit of pressure, but because this rug does have so many different colors in it and different types of wool and yarn and acrylic and cotton and whatnot, I didn't press too hard in case, because this one time, it was 2 different types of yarn, and one of the yarns got caught in the blade and lifted, and then there was a hole in the middle of my rug. That's not happening here. So I didn't press too hard. I maybe pressed like a little tense, but not too bad at all. You're not gonna go past this point. See when the flat bit hits the end here? That's when you stop. Do not do this. It'll fall like that, and that is when your rug will get chomped. And then you can go sideways again. So doing the same thing, keeping the edge of this flat bit to the edge of your rug. Just like that. Keep in mind where your cord is and where your vacuum is, because if you trip over this and then all of a sudden you're going, ooh, bad idea. Always make sure that you have some give on the cord so that you're not tripping over them. You probably saw it when I was doing it that I did not even like do this. I did not go anywhere near the edges here. Way too scary. You can see where I have shaved and haven't shaved. So this is have shaved, and then it sort of stops here. So I went like this. I stopped about there, turned it around, and then I went up from here. So all of this part here will just be shaved with the other shaver. This part is not shaved. You can see the line there. With curves and stuff, you can go like at a curve. You can move this in any direction you want, but that is up to you, because if you do it in the wrong direction, you might eat your rug. I have so many pre-warnings about this thing, but it's not until you actually do it yourself will you understand how fucking scary it is. So yeah, that's the deal with this thing, the CPI, flat shearing shaver, whatever you want to call it. It's not necessary, it really isn't, but I haven't gotten a better shave without it. I will only use this shaver on bigger rugs like this. If it's like a smaller rug, I won't use it, and I'll just give it a clean top shave with my cordless shaver, because it has some weight to it, so it gets a really nice shave like this one. But it's just all up to me to get it even as possible. Let's get to the fun part now. And by fun part, I mean putting this thing away and not looking at it until I genuinely have to. Goodbye. When you shave, you're gonna need a few tools that are just within arm's reach length of you at all times. And you're also gonna need some protective gear. First thing I'd recommend is a pair of headphones or earplugs. Shaving is a very lengthy process. I watch so many podcasts. Like, I am a podcast fiend because of shaving. I also watch some Minecraft. I'll watch some One Piece. Make sure you have something to entertain you that you don't really need to look at too often. Second thing, you'll need a mask. Those nasty fibers are so bad for you. If you inhale all of the fibers that come out from shaving time and time again, your lungs are going to fill up, and it's actually very, very dangerous. So please wear a very, very strong mask. This one is really good quality. It's got that filter on the inside of the fabric, which is really good. Third thing, some glasses, goggles, anything that can protect your eyes as well, because those fibers will be going into your eyes and you will be rubbing them. Like me, I'm allergic to everything. So I will be wearing these. These are goggles, so like they go to my face. I used to just wear my glasses because I go blind when I have to stare at something for too long. So that really helped as well, but the fibers would still get in. But yeah, these goggles really help. I got them for $1 from Culture Kings. So you can source them from literally anywhere. As for tools that you're gonna need in arm's length, tweezers. I'll get into the use of tweezers later, but you're gonna need them. Scissors, of course. A lint scraper. This is a plastic one. It's really good, so it's not too harsh like that metal one was. You're gonna need to get the random extra fluffies out. You'll need a vacuum. I've got a ducted vacuum, which is really good. It's very powerful, and I just have it on hand with me at all times. Sometimes I just have it constantly running at the top of my piece, so that way I'm inhaling literally zero. Like I get nothing because as soon as it comes off the shaver, it goes straight into the vacuum. Then you're gonna need a shaver. This is my cordless shaver. Very good shaver. It's just hella heavy. This is what I like to use with the top shave. This is what I was talking about before. Oh my god, why does every single car want to drive past right now? But this, are you serious? But this is what I use when I want to level out the top shaving without the big CPI. This is what I'm going to be using. You'll see me doing all the edges that I missed with the bigger shaver. And then of course, this is the rosewood shaver. This is a classic. This is what you probably, if you don't want to use literally anything else, just use this. This will be your best friend. It's a very good shaver. The only thing I'll say about this is that the heads, they often get blunt. They're the white bit is made of plastic. When your shaver stops shaving things and it feels like it's dragging the threads along, it means that the white bit has become a little bit blunt. That often happens because when this is on for long periods of time, it gets very hot and plastic melts. So I assume it's because the plastic bit is melting. I don't think the metal bit is getting blunt, but it might be. But yeah, you can buy replacements for shaver heads. But yeah, they're my main tools that I'm gonna have within arm's length. I'm gonna show you this amazing thing that a fellow artist I saw on Instagram use while they were rug making. Basically, it's this metal arm that would traditionally hold a microphone in here, so I can start a podcast if I really wanted to. I'm not going to, but I took the microphone out. I use it to hold my vacuum here, so it's always on hand. But also, if I want my vacuum to be on constantly and catching all of those fibers, I will throw it through here and through there, just like that. So the arm just holds the vacuum in place while I shave, and it will just collect all of the particles up straight away. It saves you trouble of having to hold the vacuum there, or like just letting it all build up over time and then vacuuming after. Really good contraption to use. I highly recommend doing it. That's a shout out for Funk and Rec for the idea. Getting started, you can see how flat it is here and then how fluffy it is here. I'm gonna show you how we're gonna level that out with this shaver right now. Now with the shaver, you always wanna keep this bottom black part flat with the already leveled area. So you can see that the shaver will pick up all of the fluffy bits there. So you can see I'm just keeping it flat, and if you have to, you can angle it just a little bit higher, not too much. Do not do this, do not do this. Keep it just about there so that the black bit is just a little bit in the air, and so that that metal bit there is nice and level, and you'll get a clean shave every single time, I promise you. Let's get it done. I'm gonna go ahead and level out the rest of the rug right now. It's completely flat now, and the next step is carving. Honestly, my favorite part, but this is what takes hours and hours. It often takes like maybe double or triple the time it took to tuft. So let's get started. So first is shaving and next is carving. There's like additional steps when it comes to carving. In order to get that really crisp finish, you're gonna need a lint scraper and your scissors, but you're not gonna be cutting. So I'm gonna show you here, I'm gonna show you on one of the stars, exactly what I do to get that really clean finish that you need to make sure that there are no fibers that are tangled in with each other. So this is what I do. First up, I'm gonna get the lint scraper and I'm gonna push all the threads to one side. Next, I'll get my scissors, and with just the bottom blade, I'm not cutting just yet. I'm sliding them between the yellow and the purple threads. You can find the middle middle by just sort of parting them a little bit, and you'll find the little line that you left when you were tufting. You want to go all the way down to the tufting cloth. Do not cut it. Make sure you do not go all the way through it. It might happen if you're using a very sharp pair of scissors. It has happened to me before. You can fix it, but just try not to do it. And you just gently glide it. You're not cutting, you're not stabbing, you're just gently gliding to make sure all of those fibers go in the right positions. Once you do that, you can give it a light snip just to make it easier for you when you start shaving it. Once you do that all the way around, it already starts to look really good. Now, I went into a lot more detail about this in my previous shaving video, if you want to give that a watch, about the different looks that you can give your rug. There's shaggy style rug, there's clean rug, there's fluffy rugs, and then there's like the 3D style rug, which is the heavily carved rugs, which is what I like to do, and that's what I do with all of my rugs. What I'm going to show you in this video is that 3D and carved style. Some people stop at this step and just make sure that all those fibers are separated, and it's perfectly fine as well. Just up to you about what you want your rug to look like in the end. Now, the next step is the actual carving part, where we use that rosewood shaver. You could literally do every bit of shaving and carving with just this. This thing is a godsend. It can do everything. But basically, you're going to be using this, the lint scraper, and sometimes your scissors. If there is a thread that is not in the spot that it should be, you can also use the tweezers in that case. Basically, all you need to do, I sort of hold it like a pencil sometimes I'll grip it like that, but I like to have that really good control over it. Basically, you're going to be using it at an angle to get that 3D effect. You're basically cutting the wool at an angle so it's at different heights, but it's still cohesive and it can't move in another direction, if that makes sense. You won't be cutting directly 90 degrees, you'll be cutting sort of a bit like that, just off, maybe like that. Sometimes a little bit more. Once you start, you'll see exactly the type of look you want to go for, and then you just start carving. It's like carving a sculpture. It's genuinely up to you. I wouldn't start too deep. You'll just carve the surface off at an angle as you begin, because if you go too deep straight away, you might cut into the wrong color, and then you'll have this random little indent that just doesn't look right, and it's really hard to come back from. You have to keep shaving away, and it'll just look like there's a weird indent in your rug. Always start off really shallow and then just sort of work it and make your way deeper and deeper if you need to. Sometimes it doesn't need it. So basically, to start off with, you get your lint scraper and scrape all the fibers that you're going to start shaving on one side. So I pushed all the yellow onto the purple and I carved the yellow. A good way to make sure that you're doing all this correctly is to get your hand and sort of push the fibers over each other. If they don't move on top of each other, you've done the right thing. If they do, it just means you need to snip and carve a little bit more off. Once you're done carving with that thing, it's always good to go in with a pair of scissors if there are last little snips that you want to do that you don't want to risk using the shaver with, and just go in and snip them off. You've got more control with the scissors. Anyways, I'm going to continue doing this for the rest of the rug, but I will probably chime in with some other tips and tricks as I go along. Hey guys, today I have a happy little helper. My helper is Renee. She's gonna help me record a little bit closer for you guys so you can see, and so my hand doesn't get in the way. I'm gonna be carving out this purple circle right now. If you come in real nice and close. Firstly, we're gonna go in with the scissors, and we're just gonna use the bottom blade like I said before, and just push it through and lift. See these two little purple strands there? Can you see them? Yeah. There. See those two little purple bits? If you keep doing this, they'll slowly go back into the place they should be. There we go, no more purple. Anyway, we're gonna go all the way around. Pretty good because of the way I tufted it. There's not really anything that's overlapping that much, which is great. I'm gonna push all of the gray threads on top of the purple threads because that is what I'm gonna be carving. I'm gonna be carving all of that gray. That grey has been carved. Now I'm going to push the purple over on top of the grey, and we're going to do the exact same thing but the purple. Little tip for a second, because there is not actually a lot of purple, it's very thin, you have to be very careful when you're carving, because if you carve too much there'll be no threads left and then the purple will disappear. So be very careful. Do not carve at too much of an angle. You're literally going to carve at just off 90 degrees. know if you've done enough, you just do this. And if there's no threads going on top of each other, it is a job well done. I'm gonna do that for the rest now, and I'll check in when it's done.
Me again, I'm sorry, I promise this is the last one, but I want to give you some info on shavers. So as you saw, I'm really terrified to even look at it, but that's the CPI. I think you would understand by now the amount of anxiety this thing gives me, but it does give you the industry standard flat top shave of a rug. It is good, and I do love it. I don't love using it. You can get it from All Things Effy. They are a little bit expensive, but if you do make a lot of larger rugs and are looking to upgrade, I do recommend at least thinking about it or putting some money towards it. This is the heavy duty cordless rug carver, which I also like to call my lightsaber shaver. It has a really nice weight to it, so I do like using it to do the top shave of smaller rugs. It is rechargeable. It comes with a cord that you just plug into there, and then this is the battery. This charges up, slide it back on, and you're good to go. For me personally, I'm not a fan of carving with this one just because of how heavy it is. The control of it is a little bit hard because it is a bit heavier, but it does do the job. It's very, very good. This one right here is the exact same. It just has a cord on it. Just started recently using this one and I really love it a lot. It gets a really good top shave and it carves extremely well, like butter. This one's called the heavy duty rug carver. Now here, this one's been through hundreds and hundreds of rugs, hundreds and hundreds and hundreds, maybe even thousands of hours worth of shaving with this right here. This is the rosewood rug carver. It's very good, very basic, gets a good top shave, gets a good carve. I love it. You can't go wrong with this one, and you honestly can't go wrong with that either, or that. They're all very, very good. The difference between them, this one's a little bit heavier, this one's a little bit lighter. The only thing I've noticed with this one is that if I've been shaving for maybe 5+ hours straight, which I have done too many times, it heats up a lot. So this metal part here heats up. There are rosewood rug carvers that come with a rubber grip on them, which alleviates the fact of that. As I said, I've been shaving for many hours at a time. The blades do get blunt, and that is an easy fix. All Things Effy sells the replacement blades for both the heavy duty and the rosewood carver. They're very easy to change. You just twist with this one and it pops out like that. In comparison to this one that just pops out, it's got a little magnet and some clips there that hold it into place. So yeah, if you want to get some really good rug carvers, I highly recommend getting them from All Things Effy. I think I spent over 20 hours shaving this rug, so here is a little snippet of that. I'm about to say this, but after I don't even know how many days I've been shaving, it's done. All the carving is done. I actually cannot believe it. Even though I'm wearing a mask, I definitely have inhaled some fibers. I'm going to show you what happens next, but first we're going to vacuum it all up. So happy. Okay, so basically the next step that I like to do is to start doing the edges of the rug. So you can kind of see here that they're hella fluffy, they're not neat, and I like them to be crispy as. Everything needs to be the same height, just as the same as the top of the rug. The side needs to be nice and neat too, in order for it to actually look really good. I mean, it's okay if you want that look to have like the shaggy edges, but I really like them to be really clean and uniform lengths. So this is how I accomplish that. Now, some people do a waterfall edge, and I spoke about this in my previous video about rug making, where they leave the back and then they'll cut these and then they'll fold them over and they'll glue that down. But there's
there's a way to accomplish that without having to go through all of that effort of cutting these and gluing them down. I honestly think that's a waste of time and materials because you can just do it this way anyway. So watch. When I cut my rug off my frame, I did keep a little bit of the fabric left. I didn't cut it all the way to the edge. I left about like an inch or as much as I could. This was really close to the bottom, so this is as much as I could actually get off here. But on other parts of the rug, you can see here, there's heaps left over. So I do this because the step I'm about to show you is how I'm gonna get that waterfall edge. I will get my shaver and I'm gonna have it flat on the table, but it's not actually on the table. It's resting on that little piece of fabric that's still left over here. So it's kind of like this, if that makes sense. Basically, all I'm gonna do is I'm gonna cut off all of these uneven edges by gliding my shaver basically 90 degrees, kind of just a little bit off 90 degrees. And I'm just gonna glide it across so that everything is in one uniform shape. And I'll do it just a couple times. I'll do it one with a 90 degrees, one at a little bit more of an angle, because you can see here, you can see how all of these are out of line. So if I go at it like this, we're going to be cutting off all of the threads like that one, whatever, but then there'll still be unevenness up here. So then we'll go at it again at a sort of different angle, but very lightly. I'm not pressing down whatsoever. My hand is very loose. I'm not pressing down at all. There is no pressure. I'm literally just gliding over it and hardly touching it. That right there is literally just with one pass of the shaver. And you can see it's kind of at like a 90-degree angle now. So that compared to that already looks so much better, so much cleaner. But I'm gonna go at it again now with the shaver at this sort of angle here. And there's that. Look at that difference. You can see how fluffy that is compared to that. That is smooth as, and it really gives it that really nice and thick waterfall edge. You might even remember when we're up to the tufting part of this that I told you to always make the edges as thick as possible when you're tufting. So make sure that you are tufting your edges really nice and thick. This is the reason. So because there is so much yarn packed in the edges here, it allows for this to be really full and nice looking so that when you're carving it, it's nice and full and doesn't have that fluffy look. Now you may notice here when I fold the backing fabric over, there's still some random little bits here. We attend to this after I've put the backing on the rug. We're just getting the shape done. I'm gonna go ahead and do the entire border and I'll check back in after. Something of trying to make this rug, but today is gonna be the last day. We're actually finishing it. I've recruited mom and we're gonna put the backing on, but we're not just backing this rug like normal. You can watch my other YouTube videos about how I make rugs to see how I back the rugs, but this one I'm gonna be backing for it to be able to be hung on a wall. Because it's so heavy, we need to do things a little bit different so that it will actually hold and not rip the back and whatnot. So you're gonna see how we do that start to finish. So yesterday I actually went to Bunnings and I bought 4 items. One is this piece of wooden dowel, thin rod. Another one is this curtain rod. Got some curtain rod brackets, curtain rod end pieces. So basically the plan is to hang the rug from the top, hanging off of this. These will be installed onto the wall and then the rug will hang freely. The reason for this is we're going to install it at the bottom of the rug on the back so that it stays straight, because if you hang a rug, you can see here, it kind of bends in a little bit and you kind of just need something to hold it straight. So because this rug is massive and flat, it will curl in, especially because it's not going to be sitting flat against the wall. Me and mom are going to put our brains together because this is going to be a little bit complicated. We're going to need a sewing machine, we're going to need some black heading tape, we're going to figure that out. I have to do this because because you don't see these anyway. Our brains really hurt a lot right now. We're doing so much maths, I think. I'm not really sure what's going on. We're figuring it out. We just made the prototype over there, which you saw us making. And now we've marked out every single space that a strip needs to be to hold up the rug. And now we're gonna start doing it, I think.
Let's do it.
Let's do it! Flip it. So the plan is we cut along these 2 orange lines where we've marked. So we're cutting them and we're going to basically be slicing them in the middle here as well and folding them over and gluing them. And then we're going to be sewing and gluing on the black heading tape to it to act as the loops that will hold it to the curtain rod. That's good. This is so stressful! All is going very well so far, but when I cut the rug off the frame, I'm a big stupid idiot and completely forgot that I needed to leave all of this fabric at the top. And so I cut around and I went, oh, you stupid little girl. So now we have to make do with just this little part that's been left here, but it should be fine as long as there's something that can attach to the black. Okay, right now, Mama's gonna go get the sewing kit and I'm going to cut off all the excess on this side. I'm not gonna cut off the stuff that's next to the supports. Let's call these supports, just in case we need to make some more of them. So we'll just leave that there. But all of this stuff I'm gonna cut all the way around, just the bottom part. So you're gonna watch me do that. Yeah, whatever. If you're not gonna do what I'm doing right now, this is what you would normally do to just back the rug. You're gonna cut it nice and close. Can you see that? Oh my God, it's flipped. That's like a millimeter. Don't cut any further than that, or this will start to fray and your wool, your yarn will start to fall out. Don't do that. So this is the absolute most. Slide the scissors underneath so that you're not cutting the yarn that's on the other side. Get it nice and close. And sometimes if I've glued over on the top of the fabric, it gets a little bit harder to cut, but it's fine. And the yarn might be stuck to it as well because the glue went through. Glue's gone through there, but it's not a problem. It just kind of peels off anyway. I'm gonna do that for the entire rug now. Done. We are seamstresses now. Yay. We've got, this is literally, it says carpets. Look how thick that is. It's 2 inches. I'm gonna quickly tack and just hand sew a line across there so it's like extra stable. So I've done all of the structures, what are these called? Supports, and I'm gonna try it out for the first time right now. Completely and utterly scared. Hopefully it works. I might need to do some more stitches. I'm not sure. But let's see. Please work, please, 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 please. Oh, I can't see it. What does it look like? Does it look amazing? Ow. So I was thinking it might need another support, but I've made the executive decision that it doesn't because the rug is going to stiffen up as it is when I put the backing on it and when I put the black trimming around it as well. And then when I put the wooden rod through it as well, it will just stiffen up. So everything will stay stable. So it should be fine. I'm going to cut out the rest of these bits and then do the backing as I would normally do it. And this is the part that I was talking about that we would do when we start doing the backing, and that is trimming the edges of this rug to make sure it's not so shaggy and it's nice and crispy and it looks cohesive. So right now it looks a little bit messy, these outside bits. So basically what you do to fix that is get a nice pair of really sharp scissors. You're gonna hold it out like this, bend it outwards, and basically you're gonna snip, and as you're snipping, sort of curve the scissors. Just like that. And you can see what should and shouldn't be in place. And slowly you'll see that the difference is pretty grand. 40 degrees in here, but today we are backing the rug. I had to take it upstairs to vacuum it because my vacuum decided to break. Everything's going really well. We're gonna do that right now. Pow. That's the red back for the red back rug. Freaking delightful. I like to cut off whatever excess I don't need before I actually glue this backing on. So I've got like all of this, which was just so silly of me. I'll leave about an inch over so that just in case I need to move it for whatever reason, I still can. Awesome. Let's get to spraying. To complete this next step, you're gonna need one thing and one thing only. Gorilla Glue. I mean, you can use any sort of spray glue. I've used a different one in the past and it has not stuck very well. So as long as it's pretty heavy duty and can bind well with fabric. My backing is made of felt and this binds really well with the back of the rug. Some people use non-slip backing. You can also use that. It's literally up to you and what your back wants to be. My thing is called redback rugs, so they're always gonna have this beautiful red backing. It makes it nice and fancy. Think Christian Louboutin. That's the vibe we're going for. What we are going to do now is we're going to take our Gorilla Glue, and this is just an add-on. You don't need this, but it helps. It's just a roller. So we're going to need this, some spray, and the first thing that you want to do is lay your whole piece of fabric on the back nice and good so it fits and goes over all the edges nice and evenly. Mine doesn't go over the edges here or here because it's a little bit too tall, but that doesn't matter because we're putting the black heading tape at the end, so it will cover it anyway. I'm gonna lift off a little bit at a time, maybe about that much, flatten it, and basically what's gonna happen now is I'm gonna spray all of this all over the back of the rug and a little bit on this side of the felt. I'm gonna put it back over and roll it, make sure it's nice and flat and stuck down. I'm going to spray a lot over the structures here so that they really bond nice and well and there's nothing picking up from them, because that would be really horrible, and try not to let any fluff get in the way either. Also, don't go too close to the edges. I kind of leave about 1 centimeter because you're going to cut it anyway. I'll explain that in a moment. Make sure it's nice and thick but not too wet. We want it to be tacky, but not wet. Because if it's wet, it'll go through to the other side of the felt. And it'll look weird. On the bottle, it'll say to have like 30 centimeters away. But I like to be nice and precise about where I'm actually putting it. And because I like to put like a lot of layers on there, I'll just keep it close anyway. It kind of leaves like a bit of a white residue over it too. So if your rug is like black on the edges, you'll see it. So make sure you don't go too close to the edges. All right, that's enough there. Now I'm gonna put it on the red. Just a really light coat. Just like that. And now gently place it over. And I'm just like gently brushing it like this, because if you press harder, the felt will start to bunch up, and we don't want that because it looks shit. Now pat it. If you don't have a roller, I used to just do this. And it works just the same. But now I'll press really hard with the roller to make sure it really bonds. That's that. That is not going anywhere. Now that one side is done, we have to basically bring up the entire other side, and I kind of fold it a little bit like that until we get to there. This is the line of where we have glued it from. Ignore this K, completely ignore it. It's not even there, okay? And now we'll do bits at a time, so we'll probably just do about this much, and then we'll do about that much until it's all nice and glued. Now for this next step, you're gonna need a nice pair of sharp scissors with like a sharpish point there. You're going to need some black twill tape. This is different than the one that I used before. This isn't as wide, but it is thicker than the other one that I used. This is what it's called, heading tape. Love this stuff. This size, I believe, is 20 millimeters. This 20 mils is perfect. It covers the perfect amount without being too big, and it's easy to maneuver around like curves, very maneuverable. So I highly recommend this size. You're also going to need some glue sticks and of course a glue gun. First step is actually cutting the excess of the backing off, and basically I'm gonna cut it so there's about that much left over so you can see the back of the rug, maybe like less than 1 centimeter. So this is why you need sharp scissors, is to kind of go in there, and basically you feel the edge so you know where you're actually going. You got to feel it so you don't cut too much off. So that is the max amount that I'm gonna cut. So this way, when I put the heading tape, it's gonna bind with not only the red fabric, but also the actual back of the rug. And it's not gonna come over so you see it on the other side. We're gonna put it so it literally just sits on that edge there. This is a step that you really don't want to get wrong, because if you do, it might end up looking really bad on the back. Again, it's the back of the rug. If the back is not really your priority, you can totally miss this entire step. My rugs are made to last and they're supposed to be the top tier quality, so I put detail into literally every part of rug making, and I think that shows with my rugs. It's all about the details. I love details. Everything is in the detail. Okay, we're on to the next step, which is honestly one of my favorite steps because it's so calming and it just takes so long, but it's like nice. Sometimes a bit painful because it includes hot glue, and hot glue really sucks when it touches your skin. We are going to be gluing on the twill tape with some hot glue. If the rug doesn't have like a very defined center, or if it doesn't have like a point or whatever, I will just find the middle of it and just start there. I'm going to start gluing from there, because when I finish off and go all the way around, I can finish it off really neatly. You're gonna see, this is a really straight area that I'm gonna do, but when I do the curves, I'll show you my secrets. I'm gonna put a whole bunch of glue, put it all the way, so while you're like putting the stripe of glue on, kind of spread it a little bit with the tip of the gun. We're not gonna go too much. You need to make sure that there's some on the actual back of the rug and also a little bit on the felt too. Make sure it does not get into the yarn, because then the yarn goes hard. I'm gonna line this up so it goes just like a millimeter over onto the wool. I'm gonna press it on there really lightly, and then to spread it and make sure it really binds well, I'm gonna press it down and wipe it like that. I also like to sort of bend the bottom part here, so now you can't see the back of the rug. It's nice and neat up here. So I'm gonna do that all the way down here, and then when I need to, I'll show you how I do these curvy bits and the more complicated areas. Explain what you need to do when you get to a point like this. So what you can do, there's two options. You can either fold it just like that, and then you can glue it there underneath here, and that's a nice clean finish there. Or this is how I do corners of my rug. You'll fold it on itself like this, and you find this point just like that. So the bottom of it looks like that. So you've folded it along here at an angle and there, so you have this beautiful point. That's how I do every single corner. When you're going around a curve like this, if you get to a point where the heading tape isn't giving too much and it won't actually bend, it's okay to put a little tiny bit of a fold in it, just like that, and you can continue along that path there. You'll just have to put a little tiny bit of glue there to make sure that is down. Finishing off the end, we've met both ends of the heading tape. I measured it up and knew that this is when I would need to fold it, about here. Just overlap a little bit because this end bit will be folded. I'm going to glue that down on itself, and then that will be glued right there, nice and neatly. Just a bit. Make sure you go over the top of this end here so that it doesn't fray. And then I'll also put some on the back of this. And now we finish. Make sure you place it exactly where you want it. It's good to place it lightly first because the glue is always a little bit maneuverable while it's still really hot. And that is that. Nice and clean. Now the whole rug has been outlined in this heading tape. I'm going to show you a little bit of a close-up of that now. I'm going to go over some parts. This is like lifting a little bit, so I'll put a little bit of glue under that. Just to make sure. Again, it is the back of the rug, but I think it's good because if your rug's going to be on the floor, you don't want random things to slide like under these loose bits and then start ripping it, and that would just be crazy. Next step for this rug is I want to put this big piece of wooden dowel, and I want it to be attached to the bottom here so that it keeps the rug nice and straight. I also want it to be removable in case Tina wants to put it on the floor one day. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to make some some little like loops. Probably make them by bending one side, and then gluing either side down, kind of like that. And I'll do like, I don't know, I'll start with 2, then 1 in the middle. Maybe I'll do 5 or 4 and do them in line with, yeah, I'm gonna do them in line with these. I think that would make sense. This is the plan. They're not glued down yet, but I think that is what I'm gonna need to do. Why is it in the air? We're up to the absolute last step of making a red back rug. I'm so excited. But first we need to give the red backing a little bit of a clean. I've got this lint roller here to get all those random little fluffs off, the random strands of glue, give it a nice old clean. These are really good, but make sure that they're not too tacky in rolling them onto the felt because they can pick up the felt and wreck it a little bit. Branding is everything. This is definitely my most favorite addition to every single redback rug, and that is because I get to label and number every single rug individually. So every massive rug, sometimes the small rugs, I mean if the rugs are this big I cannot put this on there, but basically every single redback rug has its own individual number. You can see at the bottom there, it'll say redback rug number, and then I don't know what this is going to be, 270 something? Not sure, I'll figure it out. I've got a list. This is a woven label, but it's also a patch, so it's an iron-on. I'm going to use this little tiny iron that I got from Cricut. I love Cricut. Basically it'll melt the back and adhere to the felt, and it'll stay on there like a patch. This is definitely my favorite addition, and I'm so glad I got to make these. These are a little bit expensive though, mainly because they've got the iron-on ability on them. I got them made previously without the iron-on, and they were a lot cheaper. I think I got them for like $1 each instead of this was about $3 each. And when I had that, I had to use the sewing machine to sew the label onto the red felt, and then I'll be able to spray the backing and put the red felt onto it. This makes life so much easier. It's just like the last thing that I do. So I'm gonna measure the rug to find the exact center, and that is exactly where I'm gonna be putting this. And I'm so excited. Right there, ladies and gents. Okay, now we just need to iron it on. Nice and straight, and that is that. I've got a whole list of every single redback rug that I've made, and I'm gonna see what number this is. This is gonna be 273. I have a fabric marker, and I'm just gonna get that and write those numbers on there. Let's put the curtain rod in it and hold it up. Woohoo! I'm so excited. This is so exciting. It's 1 AM, I finished the rug. I'm gonna do the grand reveal thing of it right now. God, I hope it doesn't break it. Here it is. 1, 2, 3. Does it look good? I can't see it. Everything is good, it's not curling at all. Oh my god, I am so happy. And then that is the back. Ah, a redback rug. So the rug is done, but I decided to go and get the curtain rods changed to black and all the accessories changed to black because I think it will fit better with the supports. It'll just look way better with black instead of white. So I'm going to put that on there right now. Follow me over here. instead of Tina coming to pick up the rug, we are going to Tina. We're going to do a road trip to Tina and we're going to install it at her house for her because I thought that'd be really nice and maybe we can record her reaction and I think that'd be really cute. And my dad and my mom are going to come. My dad's really good at handiwork, so he's going to probably install it because if I went by myself there'd be a hole in the wall. So we don't want that, and Tina said the same thing. So we're going to do that. I'm so excited. I've met Tina once at Supernova, so this will be the second time that I get to actually see her in person. I can't wait. I think it'll be really nice. Yay! Woohoo! Okay, I'm here with Tina. I'm about to reveal the rug to her for the first time. Are you excited? Yeah. Okay. You ready? Set.
How good does that look? Oh my god! And you even got Bruno Mars written in there too. You did it! It looks awesome! Oh, you gotta feel it. How good does that look?
We're just hanging out with Damien and his favourite things.
Thank you very much. It is beautiful. I appreciate it so much.
Of course. Thank you for putting me up to the task. This was really fun to do. And I'm very honoured to have done it for you.
What's a task well accomplished, I think. Thank you.
Success.
Who's crying? I'm not crying, you're crying. I calculated that it took me over 45 hours to make this insanely intricate and meaningful rug. And I am so honored that Tina put me up to the challenge to make something so personal for her beautiful boy. May Damien rest in peace, and to you, Tina, thank you so much, and I'm always sending so much love to you and your amazing family. Every day I realize how blessed I am to be in the position I am, for Tina to have even found me. Thank God for TikTok Live, am I right? I'm actually live on TikTok most days, tufting or shaving rugs, so you should come and join me on there. Come hang out, ask questions, and keep me company while I do what I love. But wow, if you've made it to this point in the video, I just want to say a huge thank you. Your support means the absolute world to me because it allows me to continue doing this for a living. So if you haven't already, please subscribe, please like, comment literally any questions you may have, and share the video to someone who you think will like it. I want everybody who's interested in tufting to have the ability to learn on their own, just like I did. I've had people message me saying that my previous rug videos have helped them start their own rug businesses, and it just fills my heart with so much joy to know that I'm kind of like your teacher. That's so cool. Thank you guys for all of your love and all your support. I'm sending it all straight back to you, and do let me know in the comments or send me a DM if you have absolutely any questions related to rug making or life or whatever. And if you'd like a custom rug yourself, you know who to call. It's me, by the way, you need to call me. Don't actually call me, I don't pick up the phone. Just send me a DM. I've also got a form you can fill out on my website, crystalchristie.com. So if you want a custom rug, I can make it happen. Anyways, thank you again. Thank you so much for watching, and I'll see you in the next one. Bye.
Redbackrugs, want your rug in a hurry? Wanna put it on your floor? And you want it extra fast? Yeah, I can do express delivery. Wind the wool while I watch a movie. Watch me live at Chrystal Christie. Need some help with my girls, RJ, Ethan, and Penelope.